what I'd like to first do is start opening up some discussion to get a little more into details on some of the things you've covered. We've done a lot of workshops too, so I think it'd be great to just discuss what both of our sides have seen,
Yeah.
the advantages and disadvantages. So, if you could, can you kind of summarize how someone would get started? Like if they just started their farm up and they just want to get into helping getting people on site to help with some of these projects and educating them at the same time. How do you get started? What are the first things that you would recommend that a farm does?
I think the best thing would be connecting with your community, whatever like local permaculture, organic farming network, any network really that you feel like you want to be part of, and getting people excited to come. I think people love just volunteering and just doing, what do they call it, like a permablitz. I've heard that before. Offering a chance to go and get your hands dirty and work together and accomplish something, like that's a great feeling. Like 10 people show up and you bust off the sod and you double dig or whatever, and suddenly you have a garden at the end of a busy day, and you feel good about that, and it builds that sense of community, and now people are connected to your place. And that's what we've found, is that we have this huge global network of people that have come through our program over the last 15 years that support us in so many ways. It's like this big family. And it's because that they came and they helped build our campus, really, like one little, earthen wall at a time. So that would be, I think, the first thing to do.
Yeah, what we found that really helped us was going to other workshops, and going to both small workshops that are kind of also beginner farms and those large workshops that are multiple hundreds of people even. Just if you can get like 5 of those at least under your belt, that really helps. And because you're going there, instead of going there as just a student there to learn what they're teaching, you're going there to see exactly how they're setting everything up, how their process works, what their living situations are like, and things like that, and really taking note of those. And that's going to be greatly inspirational to you, or it was for us to see in ways that things could be done differently from what we were doing, and things, how very professional things are being run, and also a feeling of what doesn't work that's being done.
Yeah, Tim and Robin, when they were first traveling down to Costa Rica in their 2 old beat up Toyotas, they basically spent time doing a natural building class, a wilderness first responder, went and worked with Solar Energy International. And every one of those organizations that they took a class with became our first partners. And they were all excited to do their first like international components. We had a 10-year relationship with Yes Tomorrow Design Build School here in Vermont. We were their first like international program, and that was huge for us. And that was them just going there and building that personal relationship with the organization, instructors, and really building a friendship. And it's worked out really well.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting involved in the local farmers markets and the different aspects of your industry that are around you already is a great way to build those connections with people that are organizing those, because you might end up with collaboration events too, where you're working with those to get more people into your workshop or your apprenticeship program. Okay, so first, my recommendation, first step, is to go to other workshops, and then start building up that community, that local community network connections with other people doing those kind of organizations. Next would be the marketing side, and that is how you're going to fill these seats when you're just beginning. It gets easier as you go, but the first couple workshops are going to be difficult. You've got to really work hard to get people in, and like you said, do not overpromise, because it's going to be far better to overdeliver than to overpromise. So on the marketing side, That is difficult in the beginning, and that is the ground and pound, like you said, getting out on the social marketing, social networks, and letting people know about the class. Maybe even getting flyers out and going around your local
Yeah.
town, anywhere you can to get those people in. Once you've done that, you've got that groundwork set. You got a mailing list started where you can mail people about future classes. It gets a lot easier because people know what to expect, and if they really enjoy your class, that's why you want to undersell it, is so that they feel like they got a lot more than they expected and want to come back for more.
Yep, I agree. And I think, like, I'd imagine if I had a small place up here, I would offer, some short 2-hour afternoon workshop followed by like a potluck, like where it's more of a social event and you're just trying to get people onto your place so they know it and they know you. And yeah, potluck, and you're not trying to make any money that first time, like maybe at all. And you're
Yeah,
just
so
there
you
to
might even you
build.
might even lose a little money.
Yeah,
The
you buy the keg perhaps.
Okay, so now we started marketing. Now we need to really make sure that we have everything set up on the home base, at the where the workshop's going to be. And for the first time when we're first starting, I like to, because a lot of that infrastructure might not be there, because it's expensive to do all that infrastructure. And you might be doing workshops to build that infrastructure.
Yeah.
And so camping, like you said, in the tropics, that's going to be a lot more difficult. But in our climates, camping isn't too hard, especially if you're running the workshops at a time where it's a lot easier to camp, where maybe it's a drier season, things like that. Um, so we offer camping, and then we go to different hotels and we try to get group discounts. So we say we're running a workshop, we're going to have 20 people that are going to stay at this hotel, or we'd like to promote for them to stay at this hotel. Can you offer this a discount? And that's another great way, and gives a good incentive to work again with a local company, to get people to stay at their locations, and allows for nice accommodations. Maybe you can do. We like to have people organize ride shares on their own,
Mhm.
instead of dedicating a person to traveling back and forth and getting people places. What's your experience with that on that side?
Yeah, we get stuck as the middleman in that conversation a lot because we're really remote and people are, they're flying in. So it's a bit challenging. Yeah, there's not really other lodging options where we are. We actually, people ask to camp all the time for us, and they'll be like, oh, we'll camp and we'll provide our own food or we'll buy from the store ourselves. And there's no store where we are. It's a town of 100 people. And so we really have to emphasize, or we've really decided that we don't want to deal with that at all. Even though in theory camping is easy, they just find a spot over in the forest. It's always more stressful for us. So we've just decided at this point, again, 15 years in, that it's not worth it, that compromise, and we're willing to like lose that little bit of business.
Okay, so you put in a lot of the structure on site is the focus of how many people you're going to be taking in for a workshop or for a long-term class.
Yeah, we're at a point now where we have bed space for 55, 60 people. We never want to do that. It's horrible. And we're really at our capacity for the number of people. And so we're at this place where we're reevaluating all the programs and which ones can we eliminate and replace by more profitable ones. So again, like 15 years in, we have this, that's where we're at. Like, we don't want more people. We want more profitable groups or courses or workshops. And so we think about it really differently now.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think that also that helps with marketing. If you have a limited amount of space or a limited amount of tickets available, that helps with marketing because it shows that there's a limit on the availability, and people seem to drive towards that. So if you're marketing something, guys, like a workshop, if you say there's only 50 seats or 25 seats or whatever available, that can help a great deal in marketing, we found. Next is, and this goes into how much you're going to charge for this workshop, is the food, the drinks. One thing we do, we go big on food, like you explained as well. We we go big on the food. We spend a lot of money. We put a lot of care into it, but our tickets cost more because of that. But when you go, you're going for a great meal. You're going to get a great meal out of it, or multiple great meals, depending on how long the workshop is. Usually, our workshops we keep them at a maximum 3 days. Um,
Mhm.
but we're not doing big apprenticeship programs like you guys are. What's kind of your longest workshop style or class style? Would that be the PDC?
Let me think. Well, we've got a lot of unique programs. So we have a high school group out of Seattle Lakeside High School, and they come for about 3 weeks, but they do homestays for most of that time. So it's a bit different. We provide, I think, lunch, but breakfast and dinner are at the homestays. And we're working on a semester program where we'll have students on site for 10 or 11 weeks at a time. And that will be our longest. We've done something similar in the past, but right now, of like our kind of traditional workshops, yeah, 2 weeks is about our max.
Yeah, and that's a long time to have someone on your property, living with you.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Okay, so we got we the first thing we need to do is kind of figure out how much we're going to charge. We set an expectation of, we'll say, all right, I've got housing, or I can physically house, we'll say, 20 people. Now I'm going to look at how much it's going to cost. I just set that number in my mind. I'm going to try and shoot for 20 people coming to my workshop. Now I'm going to look at the cost of food of feeding 20 people. So breakfast, we go pretty simple. It's just, biscuits and gravy maybe, or we say breakfast, you're on your own. Bring your own breakfast or go out to eat at the hotel or whatever you want to do. But lunch and dinner is provided, and lunch is the sandwiches, things that are quick and easy, as easy and quick as possible.
yeah,
Like you said, the kitchen is a very stressful time at that doing a big workshop. And
yeah,
so you don't want people bugging the people that are preparing the food, but you do want people helping them as much as possible as far as bringing the plates, silverware,
yeah,
juice, all that stuff out, all the prep work getting done for them.
yeah.
Uh, Super important.
So a couple things in that work well for us. Um, we're in Central America. We serve a lot of rice and beans. So our breakfast is predominantly a rice and bean dish, and so is our lunch. Well, what we do is we have a lot of awesome condiments. So we have hot sauces and kimchi and soy sauce and all sorts of stuff at the end of the table. And so you have this relatively simple rice and beans, but you can load up on all these goodies and treats on top of that. This is a nice way to again take something simple like pasta or rice, and for relatively little work in the kitchen, jazz it up. And soups work really well for dinner. You can do big soups, are pretty easy. That's something that we do often for big groups. For just to go into pricing, we did a pretty detailed analysis a couple of years ago to figure out how much does it actually cost us to have somebody on site, and we figured that out. And we just kind of go from there. We are comparing our price to other workshops in the area and what we think the value is, compared to other countries. That's often our competition, if you will. Or there's a course in Nicaragua or Panama, for example, and what does the cost of living look like between those? And then we do a tiered pricing system for Central Americans and expatriates. And so basically, our price is set up for, let's see how to put it, people's ability to earn their earning potential, I guess. Their what they would have to pay is based on that. And then we have a bit of a Robin Hood scenario where if you're a foreigner coming in, we're gonna charge you a little bit more, and that subsidizes the Central Americans, who in the end that's really who we want in the classes. And we also understand that our price excludes most of those, and that's something that we try to remediate through our small nonprofit and some scholarship programs we have.
Wow, that's really great of you guys to do that. I mean, it's yeah. We're in America, and we're very capitalistic, so we want
Yeah,
we don't offer the like different price points for different people, but we're also not in Costa Rica or a
yeah,
different country where we're I mean, you're dealing with a totally different demographic there.
There's just cultural factors that are huge and play a lot into our decisions.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, One thing we might do is if we're doing a large, high demand workshop, we'll include locals, specifically in our direct community, our direct neighborhood,
Yeah.
that come for free, just because we want those people that are local to us and living near us and with us to get that education without any cost. So you mentioned that you did a cost analysis. What exactly was in the cost analysis for how much it costs for each student?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try to remember. It was it was tricky because kind of everything is going into it, but so we just had to pick a few things, and it was food, it was laundry, it was the salaries of our two cooks, and it was the salary of our cleaning lady, and I think that's all we included. And everything else we decided not to include, just to come up with, we could go all day. We haven't, we have an idea of, obviously if we just take all of our expenses divided by the number of people coming through, we get that number, but we wanted something a little bit more concrete, and so that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into doing a cost analysis like that. I mean, you could look at the infrastructure you have and say, okay, so maybe the infrastructure has a write-off. Well, in America, we have a tax write-off for
Yeah.
this infrastructure that we've put in. So the tax write-off for year one is this, and how much did it cost to create that? And so it can get very complicated. But you also got to look at, did I do a workshop to build this
Right.
infrastructure? And so you can mitigate a lot of the costs that way. Um, so we get the food organized. We go big. We do, briskets and roast. Maybe we'll do a pig roast, or for the meal, we make it clear on what to expect for what you're getting as food goes, because we don't offer. We're not really, if you have special dietary needs, we don't really cater to those a great deal, but we make it clear that we don't. We make it
Yeah.
clear, this is what we're going to provide. This is what you'll get. If you want something else, bring it. And as far as cooking goes, no, you cannot come into our kitchen and cook
Yeah.
whatever you specifically need for your dietary. We're sorry. You can do it. You can cook outside in the campground area, or whatever you want to do at your vehicle. Maybe you brought a propane stove or whatever. You're more than welcome to, of course. But the kitchen's off limits, and that's one thing we ran into.
Yep. It's a no-brainer.
All right, so we get the food going. We know how much it's going to cost. I got to say, we spend we'll say, let's if it's like a 25-man workshop, we end up spending about $5,000 or $6,000 on food. It's we go, but it's really expensive, but it's so worth it just because of the. I think food really brings people together, puts people in a great mood, and getting that kind of great food
Yeah.
really helps.
If if anybody finds out that you don't serve enough food at your workshops, that's the end. Like, I'm serious. Like, I would never go to a place that I've heard that about. I eat a lot of food. I'm hungry a lot, and
Yeah,
so it would
and
just
having
be like, no,
available all the time. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we get the food costs going down. Now, as far as alcoholic beverages go, we do not advertise that we are serving any kind of alcohol. If you want to bring alcohol, we're okay with drinking on, and if you get drunk or crazy or something, you're getting kicked off. But and that's never happened. We've never had a problem with that. But we don't advertise that we'll have alcohol available. However, we do bring in. We'll brew some beers and bring people in, or bring alcohol in for those people as just kind of a complimentary gift from us, because we enjoy drinking some alcohol. And so this is like this once again, these are like 3-day workshops, so people are spending the night, they're hanging out at the campfire. The next big thing we do is make sure that after that long day of the food prep and getting the food out to all the students, teaching the students, making sure all their accommodations are met, you're drained. The first day is really exciting and it's cool. The second day is a lot of work, and then the third day you are wiped out. You're ready for everyone to just leave so you can relax, because it's a lot of work.
Yep.
Um, And so during the nighttime, during our workshops, we do things. We like to gather everybody together and do things as a group, like a group activity, like a barter blanket. For the you guys that don't know what a barter blanket is, it's you literally put a blanket out on the ground, and you say, okay, the first person comes up with an item, whatever that item is, and we advertise people to bring this to the workshop, bring items or trade items that you make, things like that. Maybe bringing people bring all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
ammunition, size, and I mean all kinds of things. So you're going to put that item on the barter blanket, and then everybody else gets to counter offer and say, okay, I want that, here's what I'll offer, and they put an item out on the barter blanket. At the end, the person who first put their item out makes the decision on which item they'll choose in trade. And that is a great time, great experience for everybody.
Nice.
So that's just one way of making sure people are entertained and enjoying each other. Because I think that for future workshops, getting people to come back to workshops, that's huge. Getting people to really enjoy the company of the other students that are there.
I think there's a huge part of it, just that networking. We get a lot of people that return for workshops, and they're just looking to, I guess the advantage that we have is like you're escaping from everything. You're coming to Costa Rica, there's really shitty internet or no internet, and you're focused on just being there and being with the people around you and learning together about this, something that you're mutually excited about. And that's incredibly rare these days. I mean, people really lack that so much. And that is such a great thing to give to people. And I love being part of that. Like just being around our dinner table at night and it's all dark outside and the lights are low and you're like all huddled around that light in deep conversation. No one's on their phone. No one's distracted. You're really present. And that is something just, as I'm thinking about right now that we've done really well is like the whole place is designed to allow people to be present. And I think people love it. And so that would be something I think for people to think about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Setting up the atmosphere and having the location, having the infrastructure available to allow that kind of thing to happen is big, because sometimes it's just a big field that you're going to for a workshop.
Yeah.
That can be pretty boring after spending 72 hours there.
Yeah.
So we've got the food all organized. Next is and I'd like your feedback on this, is how do you deal with the manual labor of paying students coming in? For us, it's mostly we set it up so that if we have a project that we're looking to get done, like we're building some swales, we want to set it up so that the manual labor is provided by us. It's already there, but it's an environment where anybody that's at the workshop, we greatly encourage it, can go in and work on the swale and build it themselves.
Interesting.
But it's not a forced deal. You're not going there being forced. If you don't want to do the manual labor, then we don't force you to. Now, that's in most cases. If it's a specific build project workshop where it's like, we are going to build an aquaponics system, yeah, you're going to be putting in the manual labor, and we make it very clear in the marketing for it that you will be needing to put in manual labor and how much weight you'll need to be able to lift, things like that, because there are people with restrictions that cannot do that kind of manual labor. So how do you guys do it?
Yeah, I think it really varies. Like the high school and college groups are coming, and like the schools want them to get dirty and physical, and they're usually not very useful people either. I wasn't particularly useful in high school, and most of the high school kids coming through aren't really useful either. So we really try to set up really basic projects, making potting mix in the nursery, building those earthen walls. There's still a quality control aspect, of course. And I think what's important is just building in teachable moments into that. And so always trying to set up like the context of why we're doing this. Why is it important? We're just making nursery potting mix. We have to go sift the soil and then sift the manure and get the sand and mix it all together, and it's hot and you're sweaty and it's buggy. Like, who cares? And like, so make sure they understand why it matters to you, to your organization, to the community, and stop throughout it. Like, make sure you're organizing just like simple, like everybody drink water, Like, stop, let's take a break and let's talk about this. Oh, come look at this plant. Let's talk about this. Just breaking it up like that is really valuable. And like our PDC, yeah, we make a lot of stuff optional. We have like morning chores that we've done both. We've made it mandatory and we've made it optional in the past. I think of one workshop where it was an earth building workshop, and people complained that it was too much work to like wheelbarrow the clay and the sand to the site. And I think we just got a couple bad people that complained, and it kind of caught on with some other people in the group, and we'd never experienced that before. It caught us off guard a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it can really, resentment can build quickly. If someone's really not enjoying something in the workshop, and the word spreads, and people start thinking about it more, and start realizing, yeah, that's not right. Otherwise, wouldn't have thought that. But that is another reason why we make sure that the manual labor side is covered minus the workshop. That hurts our income from what we're going to make off of the workshop. So generally when we're doing it, we're looking at it from a long-term income investment, in that this is going to better the property. And so we're going to be making money off of the property value, if anything, or our personal living value off of having this done. And the revenue that comes in from that workshop is going towards building that actual project. Any extra income that comes in from it is great, but otherwise that's kind of how we look at it. But we're not 100% of our revenue isn't coming from workshops, and that's why we can do that. Okay, we got a couple questions here I'm going to hit real quick. Sean asks, can a person stay between classes for the May classes?
Yes. The answer is yes. We often have people that'll take 2 classes. You can ask about a discount. We'll most likely give you one. And we receive guests as well. Not a lot, mostly because we're pretty full with the groups. But that is kind of designed, those 2 classes, the permaculture course followed by the fermentation class. So if people are interested, a couple-day break in between, like an hour and a half from the beach, you can escape down there. So yeah, hope to see you there, Sean.
Yeah, he also asked, have you tried virtual classes that would promote larger groups of students to experience your projects at a fraction of the cost of the travel and expenses?
Yeah, we're exploring that right now with my partner's fermentation class. And so she's looking at doing a couple, like an online series, basically. Haven't got super far. She's still in the conversation with the videographer who would set it all up. So
awesome. Well, if you're looking at doing online courses, make sure you check out Permeathos. Yeah. All right. So I would say, as far as the filming goes, because a lot of people want to film these workshops, what we found is that when you're filming a workshop, that doesn't resell very well. We like to do workshop filming as free. So we offer that as free, just to get people, to us, it's free promotion. It's getting people excited about getting to that next workshop because they want to be there and experience it. When we try and film, there's a lot of variables that are coming into, when you're filming the instructor, you can't just stop them in the middle of talking to the students and say, wait, I need you to re-say what you just said. That kind of thing, because I didn't capture it right, or the audio was, there's all kinds of technical difficulties. And you have a lot of students around you. You have audio issues there where people are talking amongst each other. There's a ton of editing. The editing is very costly if you're trying to convert a live workshop presentation or class into a sellable product. Now, it's been done. Paul Whedon's done it. But we just found that the paid education side works much better when it's one-on-one with the instructor and the videographer. Now, that's a little different if it's, say, a virtual workshop, which we're doing the sort of a virtual class where it's an actual classroom, like what we're doing right here today, guys, in that, except the students, all the students can talk with each other. So it's like being on the property, talking with the instructor's teaching you, but it's all virtual. And I'm fine with making that a paid product. But filming an on-site workshop, it's just really expensive. It ends up costing too much to try and make it an edible, sellable product. We like the quality to be a lot more lot more better for a sellable product. At least that's what we found. What do you got? Do you guys film the workshops and offer those for sale or anything like that?
Nope, we never have. Yeah, it seems like it seems like it would be a lot to incorporate, and you need a whole nother person just really focused on that. And I'm thinking of like trying to do that with the permaculture course, and I just want to be present with the students there and not have to worry about something like that. Maybe one day, but I think it makes sense like a one-on-one with the videographers. That's the only way I can imagine that working really well.
Yeah, it's the best way to go. Just because if you want a high quality product that you're going to offer for sale, and
Yeah.
I think you do, it's very important to offer a high quality product as much as you can anyway. You need that one-on-one with the videographer so that every detail can be worked out. Things can be retake and everything like that.
Yeah.
So that's important. But one thing that is nice about having an audience is that if you miss something, usually the audience is going to point that out or ask the question that would trigger, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that part of this, or I have more information for you. So that's one great thing that there is about having the live audience. So maybe when you're filming your course, you offer 2 or 3 people to be there with the crew, but let them that they know this is going to be a filming,
Yeah.
there's retakes, there's going to be things like that. You need to be quiet. So anyway, the next thing I would like to talk about is the instructors. I found that doing a workshop, even if I feel like I'm a good expert in that, I'm running the workshop and I'd rather have someone come and teach it. Because I got to manage all these other things that are going on during the workshops, the parking, the camping, the complaints, anything that comes up. And so I prefer to have a separate instructor there taking a percentage. We do it as a percentage of the tickets that come in. We give them whatever percentage we come up with, 20% or whatever we can afford, depending on what the workshop is and what who the instructor is, how much they cost. But that's to try and take on the teaching and managing the workshop alone or just with 1 or 2 other people. That's a huge challenge. And having the instructor there for us is a huge, huge difference. And now what I will say is if I am feel that I am advanced in that topic that's being discussed, and it's something I could have instructed myself, I will make sure that we have like a sit down time with all of the students after maybe at the end of the day, when people are eating during dinner time, we'll do like a sit down where it's a Q&A, me and the instructor are sitting there and we'll take all of your questions and discuss everything we did today. Any additional information that that's when I can bring my experience onto the table and add more value to the course. So after that, how many guys do you have on your team? I mean, starting, you weren't there right when it started, right? But
That's correct. Yeah.
But kind of how's it progressed in what you have for staff managing these things?
Yeah. So there's 6 of us on site. I guess really 7 now that make up what I call our core team. And then our apprentices, so 5 to 7 of those, they do a lot. We put them to work. They're cooking and cleaning and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And then our Costa Rican staff, I think we have 5 or 6 full-time employees as well. So there's a lot of us that are like doing this behind the scenes. And we kind of rotate. Some of us are gone at times. Not everybody's always there. And if I'm teaching the permaculture course or my partner Laura's teaching her fermentation class, we're not doing the other things. We're not cooking breakfast and cleaning and managing employees or updating social media. We're just solely focused on that. And the scale of organization that we are, that seems like a good number. We would, in a perfect world, we'd add like another couple to our team that would ideally be Costa Rican. That's our dream. Maybe in the next 5 years, we'll have the housing and revenue that we can make that more of a reality.
Yeah, and that goes back to having that separate instructor for the course. It's super important, not only on the stress on you, but what the students are, they're going to see if you're stressed out about all these other things, it's going to come out in your teaching
Yeah.
ability, and they're going to feel that they're not going to get the experience that you could have provided. So I think that's super important to
Yeah.
remember.
I think I'm a lot better teacher when I'm at Project Bonafide in Nicaragua than at the ranch, and their teachers come and we support each other. And because when I'm at their site, I don't have to worry about anything else. I don't look around and see all the projects that I'm halfway through and oh man, I need to prune that tree. I keep forgetting about that. That doesn't happen. And so I can really focus on teaching and vice versa when they're in our place. And so, yeah, I think it's really nice to have an instructor come in and slowly work with them to either transition or support them or co-teach with them if that's your desires. I think it's a great strategy.
And so, how do you deal with the instructor? Do you have the instructor come in early before the workshop to get them, or what's the process there?
Yeah, at this point, we're rarely working with new instructors. Um, I'll have a new guy that I'm kind of training in our permaculture course, a young Tico, trying to connect more into that community. Um, but often they're just showing up like 2 days before. But at this point, their courses we've been running a while. So like the natural building class, like we know exactly what we're going to do, which walls we're going to repair, which ones are getting lime plastered, which are getting built. We prep all the materials ahead of time. Same with the timber frame class that's already full. So it wasn't on the schedule, I think. All that lumber is purchased. The foundation's done right now. The SketchUp design is done. And so we try to control that process as much as possible. Early on, we had a lot of, with the building classes, a lot of buildings that were pretty, I don't know, kind of random in their design because the instructor would get there 2 days before the design would happen, materials would get ordered. It was a bit chaotic. And so we really took control of that process. And that's helped us a lot to have better designs, be less stressful. I think ideally instructors coming in maybe like 2 days ahead of time. That way they can relax and acclimatize as well.
I think that's a very important topic to talk about, and that is the preparation. It all depends on what your workshop is, what you're going to be covering. But a lot of times, especially I imagine with construction, there's things that need to be done that could take 7 days to get finished, or maybe concrete needs time to cure, or things like
Yeah.
that. You need those things done before the workshop gets there, because they're there, you're slamming them through the information that you don't have time for them to sit around for 3 days or whatever and wait. Um, so how do you deal with that? I imagine you're setting up all these things beforehand. How do you get them the experience of what you've done before they got there or what they missed out on?
Yeah, it's a good question. So with the building classes, it's just good communication. Like you're not doing the foundation. It'll be done. I think some of the teachers have offered like evening sessions on foundations. They're not doing the roofing system. There's not enough time for that. And so part of it's just like, this is what you're getting. For other classes, like our fermentation course, the veggie truck comes into Mastatal like once a week. So you have to prep, really know exactly what you need to buy. And what Laura will often do is she'll make a bunch of ferments a month, a week, 3 days ahead of time, depending on what they need to arrive at their finished state, so that the students can taste those finished and they can make them when they're there fresh. And so it's a lot of like overlapping planning that you get good at when you've done it a few times. I know the first time she did it, the course went great, but after that, she's like, I know exactly what I want to do next time, how I can make this a lot better. And that's one of my favorite things, is just being able to reflect on these classes and go like, oh, I can do that way better. Like I know how to teach that a lot better now. Kind of keeps me motivated to keep teaching, and us as an organization, like to keep dialing in some of our systems. And it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a ton of fun, especially when you're doing multiples of these, and okay, next year I'm doing it. This is
Yeah.
yeah, it's really exciting and fun to work on. Now
Yep.
you kept saying the word Tico. Could you explain what Tico is? What the
It's
definition?
Costa Rican, so it's TICO. It's just an abbreviation that they use in Nicaragua. They're Nicas. Costa Ricans are Ticos. So
Okay.
That's all it is. Yeah.
It's not like woofer where there's a word for, like it's a definition.
No, no,
Okay, or
it's not derogatory either.
okay. So as far as, let's say I have a farm now and we'll put workshops behind us, having the employees. Now you guys are doing apprenticeship programs. Have you experienced anything with woofers, using woofers, and other thing? Why do you go with the apprenticeship program over other program options?
Yeah. We used to do all of that. We still get a lot of applications, which we try to funnel into being guests or into workshops. Um, and basically, a, a big factor was kind of a cultural factor. And we had a lot of people coming through. And if somebody's coming through in this little town in rural Costa Rica for a week, they bring with them pros and cons of their personality and what they're interested in doing. And the more people you have that are kind of short term like that, it builds a strong transitory culture. And so people are more likely to go to the bar across the street and get a bit rowdy. They're more likely to smoke weed with like the high school kid on the block. And we felt like we weren't able to control all those people coming through. And it was just causing stress on the greater Mastatal community and our own ranch community. Just again, the transitory nature and constantly having to say hello and orient new people and say goodbye to them. That was a complete pain in the butt. I hated it.
Yep,
And
we had
so,
the same experience, and we found that it really was less enjoyable for other people on the farm, other roofers or
yeah,
other apprentices, when people are just coming and going, or they don't have the same care and passion for it that you do, the dedication going into it.
yeah, yeah. And just being able to live with people for 11 months, like you become really close with them. And, you know, you can spend years on any of these sites just learning and learning and learning. And so, again, our goal became, we wanted to go deeper and we wanted to push people and challenge people to go deeper. We were intimidated by, we went from when I first showed up, it was 3 months. And then a couple of years later, it was 6 months. And every time we increased the minimum, it was like, oh man, is anybody going to stay for that long? It's a long period of time. And yeah, not a problem. Like we have more demand for our program than ever before. And yeah.
Um, when do you think the demand really rose for you? How long before you had demand for people to do the apprenticeship program?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we've always had a lot of people coming through. We've had people stick around for, 6 months, a year, 2 years. So I think it's been around for a while. I think once our infrastructure just got in place that people could have individual rooms, semi-private rooms in a big, cool outdoor structure. And there was enough people on our team that we could provide the educational structure for them that people were looking for. It kind of all fell into place shortly after Laura and I arrived out in 2010.
And so, with with the apprenticeship program, is there a graduation? Is there a certain time limit? And do they transition into different parts of the company, or do they just go on with their lives after that, or how is it all organized?
Yeah. So they all show up at the same time and they all leave at the same time, in theory. We do get people that drop out of the program for various reasons. And, the word apprentice connotes that they're going to go on to something more. They're going to graduate, become a journeyman, and a master. And that's not something that we've figured out very well yet. And we talk about it a lot. And I guess another lesson that we're learning or we're trying to get really better at for both the workshops and the apprenticeship is how to support people after they leave us. And so we don't really have roles for people to continue in the organization. And we've had people approach us, a couple that are there right now, they're ready to be partners with us. They also want to have a kid and they want a house, and we don't have that. Maybe we're 5 years from that and we could have serious conversations. And so, perhaps it's a lost opportunity for us and we could focus in that realm more, but you can't do everything. And so what we're focusing on now is just providing awesome support for people when they leave, like connecting them to our network, staying in touch. If we have just like a little Facebook group, private group, and I'm constantly sharing like job opportunities, internship opportunities that come up. And a lot of them go on to connect with people in our networks for their next steps. And I think that's like the minimum that we can do. We'd like to do more in the future. My dream isn't close and may never happen, but is in the small consulting business that we do, which is really tiny, like 3 or 4 clients a year. But my dream is to be able to take the apprentices, go to a site with apprentices, and then after they graduate, they go on to manage that site and basically do the install implementation and get paid for that. Of course, that would be really cool to see that happen one day.
Yeah, something similar to Joel Salatin, which I think
Yeah.
those guys are doing a fantastic job with their internship program, the way it's managed and run. I think it takes a lot to get to that point, to get to where you're having apprentices and programs like that. But man, they are doing an awesome job at that. All right. So the next question, which kind of ties into what we talked about a little bit, is from Sean again. And Sean asks, how much do you find your students learn on a 1 to 10 scale? Do they learn enough to implement what they've seen and done? Are the courses designed to give complete mastery or apprentice level knowledge? So I guess there's two aspects to that. One is whether it's a workshop or an actual apprenticeship.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that not all the courses are designed to give complete mastery. I mean, I'd say none are really. Like that's a big statement, right? I think some of them are really good at empowering people to go on and continue practicing. I think our earth building class is really good at that. We hear all the time people are, they build an earthen oven, building a cob structure. They're doing a lime plaster in their house. And then our fermentation class and the skills that come with that is super transferable. People take that back right away and they're brewing kombucha and everything that comes with that world that so many of us have grown to love. I think that's probably the most empowering class we teach. The apprenticeship, what I think people take out of it the most is I think they build a work ethic and learn how to get up every day and do farm chores every day for 11 straight months. They learn how to live in community and how to work with other people in that realm, communicate with other people. And that's something that, maybe they're looking for, but they're really looking for, how to build furniture. And they learn a bit of that. They can take that away. But I think those are the big things that people in the apprenticeship take away, like hard skill wise. It's not designed for complete mastery. It's designed to meet our needs as an organization, introduce them to topics, and then if they are interested in one of those topics, that they can really pursue that in the latter half of the apprenticeship. So if they're psyched about beekeeping, which some of them are, I'm a really shitty beekeeper, but hopefully they make it better when I get back this year, that they can go deeper into that. And we just try to provide the resources. We have a massive library because we're on the internet. So that kind of does it.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on what the workshop is or the course is or the apprenticeship is covering. I mean, if the workshop is on how to do swales, how to build swales, if that's all the workshop is, you can master that in a workshop. You might have to have a lot of different areas where they're going to be building swales in different types of environments. It is possible though. Or if it's just, making fodder, if it's something small like that, yeah, you can master it in a workshop, or get really close to it where someone could just go out, do it on their own. But if you look at like a PDC, there's no way you're mastering permaculture and everything that's entailed through a permaculture designer's course.
Right.
But there's just no possible way to do that. That takes experience. So it all depends on what the actual course is, what's being taught and what's being learned, I think.
I agree.
All right, Scott. Well, it's been a great pleasure having you on. We got the poll results. I'll be sharing those with you
Cool.
after the show. And thank you once again for being with us today. guys, please check out tv.permaethos.com. You'll find Scott on there, Scott Gallant, and more details on everything we've talked about today. The recording of this will be available probably day after tomorrow. So if you want to share it with friends, or however you want to use that information, you're more than welcome to. tv.permaethos.com. Once again, Scott, where can we find you and more information? Get in touch with you. Go to your workshops.
Yeah, so ranchomastatal.com is our main website. You guys are welcome to email me personally. It's just my last name, GALLANT 129 at Gmail. So if you have any questions, I'm usually pretty good about responding on email. But yeah, we just have a new website up this last year. It's great, and there's tons of information on it. You can really explore. We've got a great Facebook page, good Instagram. So if you're into those worlds, it's a great just way to connect into our community, see what we're doing kind of on a weekly basis. Yeah, thank you so much, Josiah. It was a real pleasure, and thanks everybody for sticking around for the full 2 hours. Wow, nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. And once again, thank you to all the viewers out there. We'll see you next week on PETV Presentations. All right. Thanks, Scott. I'll send you an email here shortly.
Cool.
Just to kind of sum up everything, and really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it was great. Right. Yeah, thanks. Keep up the good work, man.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.